Welcome back to our channel. We continue dissecting. Here we dissect issues. We put things into perspective. We call out. We encourage what we need to encourage. And after all, we ridicule what needs to be ridiculed. So welcome back to our channel as we continue dissecting on national matters, on things that matter to our country, things that matter to our lives. So today I want us to talk about parliament. We have a parliament, and we can't have a parliament without members of parliament. So I want us to talk about parliament today and its members. So by parliament I mean we look at the Senate and the National Assembly. Those are the people who call themselves members of parliament. So Kenya is one of those countries with a bicameral house. When people talk about the government, most people think the government is the national executive. But in reality, the government is an institution which has branches or arms. As we all know, government has three arms. There is the executive, there is the legislature, which is parliament, and the judiciary, which is headed by the president of the Supreme Court, who happens to be the Chief Justice. Since the promulgation of the new constitution, so many things changed. Parliament was expanded from a single house to a two house, where we have the National Assembly and the Senate. It has been more than 10 years since the new constitution was promulgated, and still the two houses of parliament have not yet known the clear mandate that they are supposed to do. So today I want us to talk about these two houses, especially the National Assembly, which the constitution gives more power than the Senate, because that's where resources are being discussed, that's where resources are being allocated, because the National Assembly is a house which allocates resources to all government departments, including the judiciary and even the national executive. Parliament has 290 elected members of parliament from constituencies. Then it has about 47 women representatives from the respective counties. Then there are people, like they are nominated members of parliament, who represent special interest groups. That includes people living with disabilities, the youth, and all that. According to the first article of the Constitution, it says that all sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya and shall only be exercised in accordance with the Constitution. That sovereign power can either be expressed either directly, where people can express their power directly by mobilizing amongst themselves and maybe talking to power, or people can express their power through their elected members of parliament and other leaders in the elective positions. So today I want us to dissect on the National Assembly, because this is an assembly where people who call themselves members of parliament or people who call themselves leaders gather to just represent their interests and not the interests of the population or the interest of the electorate or the people who elected them, the constituents. Like, if we can put issues into perspective, parliament is the most powerful arm of government, not even the executive. So sometimes when I hear people say that the executive has captured parliament, that's a political statement which falls without merit. Because how can the executive capture parliament? Because parliament is the powerhouse. It's the most powerful house amongst the three arms of government, because all the arms of government report to parliament, including the cabinet secretaries. So there is no way Parliament can be captured. So sometimes they say maybe they were corrupted or they were coerced. So I asked myself this question. Suppose somebody is harassing the members of parliament or is harassing the house. What if the members of parliament refuse to be bribed or to be coerced? Because the independent offices and the commissions is a whole chapter in the constitution, meaning they have the constitutional power to execute their mandate. These people are put in place by the same parliament. The president can appoint, or the national executive can appoint members of the commission, but he can't put them in office after the individuals have been nominated by the president. They are the people who vets them. They are the people who asks them questions. They are the people who sees whether these people are legit, they are liable, they have the power and the ability to run the respective offices. Then, after vetting them, then the president can appoint them into those respective offices, because the law says the president shall nominate, then after vetting by parliament, appoint them. So the members of parliament, they are the people with the power. So if things are not working in the country, then the mistake comes from parliament, because if parliament doesn't work, then all things will go wrong. Because take for example, the president is not delivering on the mandate. Remember, when this house was sworn into office, like after taking oath of office, they amended the standing orders, allowing the members of the cabinet to appear before either the plenary committee or before the respective house committees to explain what they are doing in their respective ministries. So this means if things are not working the way they are supposed to work, then definitely it is the house which is not delivering on its mandate. So this is the point. Members of parliament have been elected by the people to represent them, because basically the members of parliament has three constitutional or fundamental roles they play. First, members of parliament represent the people who elected them from their respective constituencies. And I'm saying this because even the nominated members of parliament have a constituency, because as we have already seen, members of parliament who are there on a nominated ticket, they are there to represent a special interest groups. So all the members of parliament have a constituency. So the first fundamental role of a member of parliament is to represent the people, whichever the constituency they are representing. Then number two is to oversight the national executive, the national judiciary, or independent offices, and every other person, even the counties. Parliament has that power to oversight. They oversight every public office. Then the third and the last role of parliament is to legislate. Legislate means making laws for prosperity, to take the country forward, or to shield the people from the dynamic kind of a world where things keep on changing. So they continue changing the laws for the well-being of the people. Those are the fundamental roles of parliament. As you can see, parliament has too much power, which they are either not using or they are misusing. Because when I see people demonstrating, teachers are on strike, doctors are on rampage, the common people, the common mwananchi is on the streets demonstrating, maybe because of the high cost of living, because of one thing or the other, then it means it is not the national executive which has failed, it is parliament which has failed to represent them. Because the law says that people can either express their power, their sovereign power, either directly or through elected leaders. Yes, we can accept that the national executive also is composed of some members who are elected by the people, so they should represent the people. But what they do, the work of the national executive, is majorly administrative. So they are the people who administer and who structure policies which will take the country forward in their best knowledge, or in their best way they understand. So the power of the people is in parliament. So when things go wrong in government, parliament is not working, or parliament is sleeping. In most cases, you find that members of parliament like to call themselves honorable, Mheshimiwa so and so, honorable so and so. Sometimes I get amazed when I listen to some of the proceedings in the house or in parliament. This is when you find somebody coming out addressing another member of parliament as honorable, but the statement which follows that honorable is totally not honorable. Like, for example, a member of parliament can just rise up and ridicule another member of parliament by calling him honorable. So what is honorable about parliament? Because parliament is just a house of dealers and not leaders. Because what they do are deals. What am I getting in the process? It's not about leadership, because they know at the end of the day they will come to the people, give them 1% of what they looted from the public coffers, and ask for their re-election. So as a country, we must be very careful on how we go forward, because especially this parliament, until we address parliament, we can't address this country, because there are the people there who are representing the people directly. So if they want to change anything, they can put it on a legislation. Like, for instance, right now they are on a debate on how they will anchor the national government constituency development fund in the constitution. Maybe they will add it and become maybe Article 265. They want to anchor things which favor them, things which they loot, which they use to loot, things which gives them wealth. Those are the things they want to even go ahead and anchor them in the constitution, because the CDF Act has been annulled severally by the courts that fund is unconstitutional, and the way it is being executed, the way it is being handled, goes against the provisions of the constitution. So they want to go ahead and change it from being a CDF Act to put it in the constitution, making it unchallengeable, making it hard to be challenged, because the constitution says that the laws in the constitution, or the constitution itself, is not subject to ridicule or to challenge. So that's why they want to anchor CDF in the constitution. So until we change this house and make it honorable, there is nothing we are going to achieve in the long run. So take, for instance, a member of parliament coming and asking members of the public to go into the parliament buildings and do whatever they want to do. What if there are criminal aspects in that group which is going into the parliament precincts? These members of parliament they don't care about the people or the oath of office. Most of the time you find members of parliament go to parliament not because of the job of a member of parliament, but because of the title and the self-protection they get as being legislators. So we should look carefully on how we trade forward if we want to take this country to the next level. Remember, the work of the public, or the work of the people in the whole process of governance, is to elect their people, or to elect the people who will represent and transact on their behalf. But you find the people who have been given the mandate to execute by the people, they go sleep on the job. Then once they get out of that position they were given, the positions of privilege, then they come out ranting and crying as if they are very new, or they are very new into that system. Remember, all the monies which are allocated to renovate State House, to build new state lodges. Like all these monies which are misplaced left, right and center, these are the monies which have been appropriated by Parliament. It is not the people in those respective offices who allocate money to themselves. Even the money allocated to the office of the President as the confidential vote, it is given by Parliament. It is Parliament which allocates money to public offices to buy magazines and tea. It is the same Parliament. It is the same Parliament which comes up with tax laws. It is the same Parliament which comes up with the Finance Acts. So it is the same House which taxes the people. It's not even the executive. It is them to decide whether people will be taxed or not. But they are the people who subjects us to a position whereby we are being overtaxed by them, not anybody else. Because a bill, when a bill is drafted and tabled in the House, it goes through the whole process. There is the first reading, second reading, third reading, committee stage, fourth reading, until it goes to be assented to by the President. So during third reading, there is always amendments. Amendments are welcome. They can change those provisions of that act or that bill to favor the people they are representing. But you hear in most cases, they go ahead and say, we don't want this. So what do you want? Your work is to change and make it good for the people you are representing, not to reject it. I can take an example, the finance bill. That bill was tabled and it was read in the first reading. There was the second reading. There was the third reading, whereby they could have sat, draft a good bill, the process a good bill which will favor or which will cushion the common mwananchi. But they went ahead to say we rejected this finance bill because it is punitive, for example. But why can't you make it even better than the current Finance Act? Because that was a finance bill of 2024, which was to result to a Finance Act 2024. What if these people changed or amended that bill to become even much better than the current Finance Act of 2023? So in reality, Parliament has really failed the people who elected or who put that institution there. In most cases, you find members of Parliament going around in big cars which are bought by the public money. How on earth can you give members of Parliament a car grant to buy a car? Why should you give a member of Parliament commute allowance? Remember, when this member of Parliament was contesting for the position, that person must have known that Parliament is in Nairobi. These are the people who misuse public resources. They are the people who give them commute allowance based on the distance from their constituencies. So you find that these people are given commute allowance according to the distance to Nairobi, as if when they were vying for the position of the member of Parliament, didn't know Parliament is in Nairobi. So these are some of the things which should be relooked or which should be looked at, so that more money can be put to things which matter to the population or to the common people. Because take for example the CDF, which these people have been fighting to retain day and night. The court have annulled the National Government Constituency Development Fund severally. This is a fund which is allocated from the national coffers. And take for example, members of Parliament receiving 100 million every financial year. Look around your constituency. This is the fund which has been in existence for more than 10 years, for example. 100 million every year. How much can that money do in a constituency? They will come and tell you that the national executive wants to take the fund away from us, because they will come and tell you that this is the fund which gives people bursaries. This is the fund which does 1, 2, 3. But 100 million in 10 years. If, take for example, in one fiscal year you are given 100 million, and you decide that this 100 million I'm going to put it under the renovation of public primary schools. In one financial year, how many schools will you renovate? Very many of them. Then the following year, you decide to renovate the remaining ones. Then the next year, you renovate the high schools, the public secondary schools. Then you finish it the following year, because in a constituency, there are not so many public schools. So then within 5 years, you could have renovated all the primary schools, all the secondary schools, maybe all the TVET, if after all TVETs are under the Constituency Development Fund. So you could have done so much. Then give it the next cycle of elections. What will that person do? But in the real sense, you find schools were not renovated, nothing was done. He will come and tell you, because he gave 3-4 people some bursary, so he will come and tell you that bursary which I gave you is being taken away. So come out in arms to defend it. But in the real sense, they are the biggest beneficiaries, because 100 million per year, then that money is not going to do everything in that constituency. There are specific things that money does. Is being allocated by the member of parliament to education and maybe to administrative, like they can build a chief's camp or a police station or something. 100 million per year. This year we are given 100 million doing the same projects. Another year, another 100 million, 10-15 years. Somebody has been a member of parliament for more than 20 years and he has not yet developed or changed the face of their constituency. Is that a reality? Is that practical? CDF is unconstitutional and should be repealed from the laws which govern this country. Whether it is the CDF Act, or even if they want to put it in the constitution, then it should be repealed from the constitution. Because what matters to the people, like allocating more money to those things which benefit the people, they don't do that. But when it comes to their money, to the CDF, they will fight for it. Don't miss the next part of this video. Remember to follow, subscribe, so that you don't miss the next part of this video. We continue to the next part of the video. Don't miss to subscribe, like and follow, so that you can be updated each and every time we post the subsequent part of this video.